We're joined now by a member of the House Intelligence Committee and House Judiciary Committee, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. Congressman Swalwell, I want to get your reaction to Colonel Vindman's opening statement. It has been made public, and I know it's going to be something he delivers in the closed-door deposition tomorrow, but it is now a public statement, and this will be the first witness who you will have who actually listened to the president's phone call.
Good evening, Lawrence. I very much look forward tomorrow morning to thanking Lieutenant Colonel Vindman for his service to our country, this Soviet-born immigrant, this wounded warrior, this patriot who I have not seen officially the opening statement, but from what I have read, which has been released, of course, based on his service to our country, he would be concerned about what he heard. And of course, he would follow the proper chain of command. He did not leak out to the press. He went through the chain of command, through the National Security Council lawyers expressing his concern. And it really will be people like him who have come forward, who have followed lawful subpoenas, done their duty, that will aid our investigation. People like Ambassador Yovanovitch, people like Ambassadors McKinley and Ambassador Taylor, who have provided so much color to this investigation. And to my Republican colleagues who have heard this testimony, if they have sat through it, I ask, can you hear them now? And will you hear them now?
And Congressman, this is your first opportunity to question someone who actually listened to the phone call, which means it's the first opportunity to check the veracity of the rough transcript of that phone call released by the White House. That so-called transcript has ellipses in it a few times. Is that something that someone will zero in on and ask him, does he recall if there were any additional words spoken, especially in those spaces that are just represented by a ...
Of course, Lawrence, that'll be a part of our investigation, as well as understanding who else was on the call. Did anyone else express concern? But Lawrence, frankly, if there is nothing else, to the ... as you referenced, it's a gross abuse of power. And if all President Trump did was ask the Ukrainian president to help him investigate the Bidens, that would be a gross abuse of power. But he didn't just do that. He leveraged a White House meeting, and he didn't just do that. He also leveraged $391 million of your taxpayer dollars. That is what we're investigating, and I very much look forward to hearing from the Lieutenant Colonel tomorrow.
There seems to be a conflict in Colonel Vindman's testimony and Ambassador Sondland's testimony. There seems to be a very sharp conflict between Ambassador Bill Taylor's testimony and Gordon Sondland's testimony. One member of the committee who listened to these testimonies said on this program that he believes that Gordon Sondland could easily face perjury charges the way this investigation is going. Is Gordon Sondland in more trouble tonight as a result of Colonel Vindman's testimony?
I'm going to reserve judgment on that. I'm going to wait till I hear from all of the witnesses. But I will say Ambassador Taylor, whose testimony was in sharp conflict, at least the opening statement that was released with Ambassador Sondland, he had a deep recall that was backed up by meticulous notes that he took, and that is in sharp conflict with Ambassador Sondland. Now, Ambassador Sondland was at the committee today reviewing his testimony with his lawyer and, of course, has an opportunity, to review that testimony, and I'll wait to see what he does with it. But people like Fiona Hill also, as you saw in her testimony, have corroborated what Ambassador Taylor and others have said, and it seems to be that the arrows continue to point toward a shakedown ordered by this president, two sharp lines to Rudy Giuliani and Ambassador Sondland to have the Ukrainians, at the president's direction, investigate his political opponents in exchange for a White House meeting and security assistance.
Congressman Swalwell, let me just go over that review of testimony for Ambassador Sondland. Now, that is an offer that's made to witnesses when they testify under oath in depositions like this by your committees, that they can have an opportunity to review their testimony. What is the point of that review? And is that a situation in which someone like Gordon Sondland can look at some of his answers and say, having thought it over, I actually think the correct answer is something else? And is that a moment at which you want to think very seriously about possible perjury if you're Gordon Sondland?
Well, I hope he thought about that before he testified, Lawrence. But, it's not an opportunity to change the answer. It's really to make sure that the court reporter, the stenographer, accurately, was able to capture your words. It's for, technical changes or to clarify where something may be unintelligible. There's other ways for him to clear up his testimony if he wanted to do that, but it's not to change what the stenographer has taken down. And I just want your viewers to know, Lawrence, that it's not just the ambassador who's able to review those transcripts. Every member on the Republican side, up to about 50 of them, are able to also review those transcripts and participate in these hearings, despite all of the attacks they've made on their lack of access.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.